I get out of this, I swear by the... Maybe I won't get out of it. Maybe I'll be murdered right here in my bed like a dog in the dark with rain coming down. Nobody even to care for... Oh, no. Oh, no. This is it. Yeah. I'm just as good as a dead dog. Please don't kill me.
Feel his gun against your throat.
Yes, sir. I feel it good.
Well, keep feeling it. Answer me. I want to know who Thurston is.
Well, he's just Mr. Thurston. That's all, sir.
You don't feel it good enough. Who is he? Who is he? What's he doing here? Come on, talk.
All right. I'll tell you, he's... No, I can't do it.
Talk.
So, well, he's the man called X. Oh, forgive me.
So that's it. Well, that explains a lot.
It does?
Zellschmidt, you've never seen me before, have you?
No, sir. I mean, how do I know? It's too dark to tell.
See that you don't tell. Do you understand?
Sure. Ouch. I mean, sir, yes, I understand.
All right.
Sir.
All right. I go on back to sleep.
This time, the Aldrich family and the man called X. Hello there, this is Victor Ives, inviting you to join me now as we turn back the clock to relive the golden moments of radio's yesteryear and bring you the greatest radio shows of all time on the golden age of radio theater. First, from January 29th, 1942, the Aldrich family. An on-again, off-again sleigh ride causes problems between Henry and his sister Mary. Then later this hour, Herbert Marshall is the man called X and takes us to Dublin, Ireland.
The Aldrich Family, based on characters originated by Clifford Goldsmith and starring Ezra Stone as Henry with Jackie Kelk as Homer.
Henry Aldrich.
Coming, Mother.
Statisticians tell us that the average American family consists of 4.2 persons. Well, that's the Aldrich family. Mr. and Mrs. Aldrich, Mary and Henry add up to 4.2 because Henry Aldrich is a real American boy plus a little something extra. Our scene opens in the Aldrich living room. It is evening.
But, Mary, why won't you listen to reason?
Henry, I've told you I'm not even interested.
But why, Mary, why? Is it because of something I've done to you?
Henry, I'm not going to argue with you, that's all.
All right, Mary, all right. I won't say another word. Father.
Yes?
Will you please tell Mary that she ought to listen to reason?
Henry, I'm reading my paper, and I'm not going to be mixed up with this.
But gee whiz, here it is Friday night, and if there's one thing I've been wanting to go on all winter, it's a sleigh ride.
With Mary?
No, gee whiz, with anybody.
Henry, it's Joe Graham's party. He hired the sleigh and the horses. I just can't turn around and... Henry Aldrich, you're not going, that's all.
I know why you don't want me. I know. You're afraid I'll ask some girl you don't like.
That has nothing to do with it.
I'll tell you what I'll do. You name any girl in town and I'll ask her.
But I don't want you to ask anybody.
Not anybody? You mean you want me to come alone?
Henry, you're not coming at all.
All right, Mary. Then we won't say anything more about it. We won't even mention the subject again. Only I think you ought to know that one of the reasons I was offering to was just so Joe wouldn't have to pay all the expenses.
But Joe isn't going to have to pay all the expenses.
Who else is going?
Butch Welch and some girl he's taking.
But there'd still be room for me, Mary.
Father, you've got to tell Henry he can't go.
Henry.
But, Father, there's a foot of snow out, and it's a swell night, and there's even a full moon, and Mary wants to keep it all to herself.
I don't care what you do with the moon.
But, Mary, if you'd only let me go, I'd even be willing to bring my ukulele along.
Father!
Mary, if you don't want Henry to go, why don't you tell him so and settle it?
Mother!
Well, gee whiz, after all I've done for you, Mary.
Henry, can't you find anything to do?
That's the trouble, Father. I haven't a thing I can do.
You can hand me a match if you'd like to.
Oh, yes, Father. Couldn't you take her to one side and just reason with her a little?
About what?
Haven't I made it clear? About taking me.
Don't hold that match so high.
Oh, is that better?
Thank you. Mary gave you her reasons for not wanting you to go with her, so why not sit down and read a book and let me read my paper?
Read a book, Father?
Why don't you go over to Homer's?
Homer and I aren't speaking to each other.
Well, find something to do. I've had a hard day at the office.
Yes, Father.
Henry.
Yes, Father. Is even that disturbing you? Do you know what I've decided? The whole thing is just a foolish whim of hers, and I don't think you ought to give in to her.
Your father shouldn't get into what, dear?
To Mary's whim, Mother. Mary and Joe are going on a swell sleigh ride, and Father won't make her take me.
Oh, I certainly don't see why he should.
But, Mother, you haven't been here during the details.
Sam, where is Mary?
I thought she went out to speak to you.
Well, she didn't. Oh, Henry, will you please go upstairs and see whether I left my knitting bag up there?
Yes, Mother. And then when I come back, may I please say just a couple of words about this whole thing?
Sam,
Yes, Alice?
Mary hasn't gone upstairs crying, has she?
Crying? Why should she go up crying?
Well, dear, why didn't you put your foot down and settle it for them?
Because, Alice, I didn't want to get mixed up in it.
Well, naturally, Mary doesn't want her brother tagging along on a sleigh ride, especially when she's going with Joe Graham.
Mother!
Yes, Mary?
Could you please tell Henry that he's not supposed to go rummaging through my room?
But, Mary, I sent him up there to get my knitting bag.
But it isn't up there, Mother. And I'm simply ashamed of him.
Why?
Mother, he tries to barge in on everything.
Oh, he doesn't try to barge in on everything, does he? You know how friendly he is.
But that's the trouble. He overdoes it.
Now, Mary, is it so unreasonable if Henry wants to go on your sleigh ride? Well, I can remember when your father and I used to go on sleigh rides all the time. Didn't we, Sam?
What's that?
I was just saying, dear, how it's perfectly normal for anyone to want to go on a sleigh ride.
Yes, Mary.
Yes, Father.
How many will your sleigh hold?
Father, you and Mother aren't going along, are you?
No, dear, of course we aren't. It'll be quite enough if you just take Henry.
On the sleigh ride? He's going with us?
Mary, why couldn't you ask him to?
But, Mother, I don't want to ask him.
Sam, what do you think about it?
About what? Alice, I don't want to get involved in this.
Sam, I think the least you can do is take a little interest in your own family.
How?
Well, dear, we have a problem to be solved here. Henry's going to go off saying his feelings have been hurt, and Mary's going off saying her feelings have been hurt.
Because of me?
Sam, I'm ashamed of you.
Mother, here's your knitting bag.
Thank you, dear.
I'll answer the phone.
I'll answer it, Father.
I'll answer it, thank you.
Father, I'd be glad to.
Please stay there.
Sam, I want you to come back when you're through and help decide this.
I have something I've got to do in the kitchen first.
Listen, Mary, will this help you see things my way?
Henry, my entire evening's been ruined.
Now, dear, let's not be so dramatic. You're hurting Henry.
I'll say. Gee whiz, she makes me feel just as though I weren't wanted.
But, Mother, I haven't really got to take him, have I?
Mother, you mean she wants me?
We haven't decided, dear, whether she wants you or not. We're simply talking it over.
Henry!
Yes, Father.
Do you know anyone by the name of Lolly?
Lolly?
That's the way it sounded to me.
Lolly? Lolly.
But whoever she is, she wants to talk to you on the telephone.
Lolly? Yes, Father, I'll be right there.
Mother.
Lolly, gee whiz. Hello?
Hello? Is this Henry?
Yes?
Well, this is Lolly.
Who's Lolly?
Just a minute, Henry.
What?
Hello?
Homer, is that you?
Yes, I just wanted to call you, Henry, and tell you I forgive you
For what?
for getting sore at me when I pushed you off your seat in assembly today.
Well, I got the deuce for that, Homer.
Well, look, Henry, come on over to my girl's house.
I can't. I'm going on a sleigh ride, I think.
With who?
With a crowd.
Why can't Lolly and I go with you, Henry?
No, Homer, you couldn't possibly go.
Why not?
Because, Homer, you couldn't.
Oh, I see. You're still sore at me.
No, I'm not, Homer. You just can't go.
But, Henry, can't you at least ask?
No.
What harm will it do? Or are you sore?
Well, wait, Homer. I'll ask, but it won't do any good, though.
Henry Aldrich, if you ask Homer Brown to go with us, I'll never speak to you again.
Quiet, Mary. Hello, Homer? Homer, hello? Homer! Now look at what you've done, Mary. You've offended the only good friend I ever had.
Children, I want both of you to stop quarreling.
But I'm only protecting my rights, Mother.
Mary, you're simply making a mountain out of a molehill.
A molehill?
Mary, I've never seen you act this way before.
But I've never had anything like this happen to me before.
But Homer isn't going.
Mary!
Yes, Father?
Joe Graham's out here in the hall.
He is. He is. Oh, my gracious.
Mary, stop running around in circles. Sam, tell Joe to come in.
Mother, if Henry has to go along with us, what will the whole town will say?
Well, what will they say?
Then I can't go out on a date without bringing my whole family.
Good evening, Mrs. Aldrich.
Good evening, Joe. You look as though you were dressed for a sleigh ride.
I am. Hello, Mary.
Hello?
Well, aren't you ready to go?
Not quite. Mother, were you going to stay here while I'm out of the room?
Now, Mary.
What's up?
Joe, she's afraid you're going to be insulted over something.
Mother!
What's the trouble?
Mother!
Joe, Henry wants to go with you.
What's that?
Yes, Joe.
Well, that's fine.
There, Mary. See that? Joe didn't hit the ceiling.
No, not at all.
Joe, you're only being polite.
Why? I'm not being polite. Why, I'd be glad to have Henry come along.
Of course. And when you get through, you can all come back here and have some sandwiches.
With Henry, Mother?
Now, dear, I'm going out to the kitchen and see what's in the icebox.
Well,
If you aren't a nice one, Joe, why didn't you say you didn't want him to go along?
how could I? Right in front of your mother.
Well, you could have backed me up, couldn't you?
Now, listen, all I was doing was being polite.
But, Joe, you practically begged him to go.
I begged him to go. I begged him to go. Listen, the next thing I know, you'll be wanting to take your whole family and saying that I asked them.
Joe, I'm a little bit surprised at you.
What? You mean you're surprised? Listen, Mary, I like Henry. He's a nice kid. But he hasn't any right to go on the sleigh ride.
What do you mean he hasn't any right? You don't want him to go.
That isn't the point. Are you going to insist on taking him?
That isn't what I asked you.
Are you taking him?
Yes, I am. Of course I'm taking my own brother.
That's all I wanted to know. That's all I... Where's my hat and coat?
Right there on that chair.
Thank you.
Hey, Joe.
Who's that?
It's Butch. Are you all ready?
For what?
Well, for the sleigh ride. What do you think?
Oh, you and Gracie go.
Alone?
Yes.
Hey, what's the idea?
I'm going upstairs and take these heavy clothes off.
You're listening to Ezra Stone as Henry and Jackie Kelk as Homer on the golden age of radio theater. Now back to the Aldrich family.
Well, are you two still here?
Yes, we are. And what do you think? Butch doesn't want to take Henry.
Butch doesn't want to.
Yeah, that's what he said. And after your own mother had been generous enough to offer to make sandwiches for us.
Well, what's that got to do with it?
Oh, my goodness.
But, Joe, you and I are paying for the horses.
But Henry's willing to pay for his share, Butch.
What's that?
Yes, he is.
He's willing to pay for 1/3?
Well, Butch, I hope you don't think my brother is the kind that wouldn't be willing to pay his way.
Oh, no, Mary. I didn't mean that. As a matter of fact, I've always liked the kid. Why doesn't he come along? Sure, why not?
Oh, my goodness, I wish you boys would make up your minds. Wait here while I go up and put my heavy clothes back on.
And tell Henry to bring his ukulele.
Henry! Henry!
What, Mary?
I want to tell you something.
Well, I'm talking to Suki.
Well, I'll be down in a few minutes.
Hello? Hello?
Who are you talking to, Henry?
That was my sister going by. She gets very excited all the time.
Well, Henry, the reason I called was, are you doing anything this evening?
Who, me?
I guess you think I'm terrible asking you.
Well, the only thing is, gee, I never thought you knew I existed.
Who? I?
Sure.
Would you like to come over this evening, Henry?
Well, how would you like to go on a sleigh ride, I think?
On a sleigh ride, Henry, on a cold night like this?
Don't you like the cold?
I hate the cold. Why don't you just come over here? We'll sit and visit in our warm living room.
You really want me to? How long before you want me to come over?
Just as soon as you can.
Well, gee, I mean...
Are you sure you don't mind, Henry?
Gee, it's the one thing. Look, I'll start right away. Goodbye, Suki.
Goodbye, Henry.
Henry!
Yes, Mother?
Where are you?
I'm getting my things on.
Well, dear, be sure to wear a muffler and a heavy sweater.
Yes, Mother, I've got them. Goodbye.
Henry, are you going out alone?
Sure, Mother, over to Suki's.
Who?
Suki's.
Aren't you going with Mary?
With Mary? Oh, no, Mother.
Wait a minute, Henry. Why aren't you?
I don't want to. I changed my mind.
You changed your mind?
Yes, Mother, goodbye.
But Henry...
Mother!
Well...
Mother, may I wear your blue... Mother? What's the matter?
Not a thing.
But why don't you answer me?
Never mind, Mary. But I think you ought to be completely ashamed of yourself.
Ashamed of myself?
Well, there.
Yes, Sam.
I have a little surprise for you.
What is it?
Get your things on in a few minutes. I just phoned the stables and hired a sleigh.
For just the two of us?
Yep.
Well, dear, I can't go off on any sleigh ride when my whole family's upset.
Over what?
Mother, what's happened?
Mary, don't you realize your own brother just went off terribly hurt?
Hurt?
Yes, dear, of course. He knows when he's not wanted.
But, Mother, we decided to take him. In fact, Joe and Butch both want him to go.
Not very much, though.
But we do, Mother.
Alice, what's happened?
Sam, this is entirely your fault.
What have I done?
Dear, you've let Mary send her own brother off sulking.
Where?
Over to Suki's.
Sulking at Suki's?
Wherever he went, I'm going to find him.
Why?
I'm going to take Henry with us on that sleigh ride now. It's the last thing I ever do.
But, Alice, I thought you hinted that you would like to go for a sleigh ride.
Sam, dear, earlier in the evening I did wish we could go, but I couldn't possibly go off having a good time without first making sure that children are going to straighten everything out.
Well, then we won't go. Where's Mary?
She's gone over to Suki's to get Henry.
What for?
To tell him he's to go with her. You better see who's at the door, dear.
It's probably Mary back.
Hello, Mr. Aldrich.
Well, Homer.
Will you tell Henry Lolly and I are here?
Henry?
Sam, who is it?
It's me and my girl, Mrs. Aldrich. We're ready to go on the sleigh ride with Henry.
Well, dear, are you quite sure you were to go along?
Well, I certainly understood we were.
When did he ask you?
Just a little while ago on the telephone. In fact, just before we got cut off, I heard Mary say, Henry, if Homer doesn't go along, I'll never speak to you again.
Well, Homer, I'm very much afraid Henry isn't here.
Where is he?
He's over at Suki's.
At Suki's?
Yes.
Oh, at Suki's. Well, we'll go right over. Gee, they're probably waiting for us.
Will they ever hitch old Dobbin to the sleigh? Well, we'll find out about the on-again, off-again sleigh ride and continue with Henry Aldrich in just a moment. Once again, we join the Aldrich family.
Are you uncomfortable, Henry?
Well, would you mind if I should put this cushion on the floor?
No, not at all.
I've always wondered what the inside of your house would be like.
Do you like it?
Sure. You know what I've always said?
What?
All you have to do is see a person and you can tell what their living room's going to be like.
Really?
Sure. You take Willie Marshall. You know how stingy he is?
What's his living room like?
Long and narrow. And boy, they won't even let you open the piano.
Not ever.
Never when I'm there. And gee whiz, what harm could I do? I'm not even interested in pianos.
Oh, I love a piano.
Well, so do I. Don't misunderstand me. I just don't like Willie's piano. Do you ever skate?
Do you?
Oh, gee, do I?
Henry, I simply detest skating.
You do? Is that right? Well, frankly, I don't care for it very much myself.
You don't?
What is there to it? Now, you take swimming. Boy, it's the same lake, but I don't know. Do you like swimming?
Oh, I hate to swim, Henry.
You do? Well, as a matter of fact, it's very refreshing to find somebody as frank as you.
What is there to swimming?
That's what I say. It's either too hot or too cold. And you wear yourself getting across the lake, and then you have to swim all the way back.
My, we have a lot of taste in common, haven't we?
I'll say we have.
And I'm so glad you don't like to go sleigh riding. You know, my mother and father like to go, but I can't stand it.
Boy, did you save my life.
Really?
Gee, the whole gang practically insisted that I go along, and I was trying to be polite.
You must be terribly popular, Henry.
Do you like fellas who are popular?
Sarah Sue?
Yes, Father?
How did Henry happen to go home?
We haven't. He's right here.
Yes, he's still here?
Yes, sir. Hello, Mr. Matthews.
Well, you and Sarah Sue were so quiet, I thought you'd gone home.
Well, do you think I ought to be going?
Oh, no, not at all. As a matter of fact, it's a nice change to have a boy in the house that isn't noisy.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews.
Has Mother gone to bed?
No, she's upstairs reading. And don't worry, I'm going back up with her.
Mr. Matthews, if we get to talking too loud, you just be frank and call down.
Thank you, Henry.
Your father's certainly a nice person.
You made an awful hit with him. And, Henry, I don't know when I've had a nicer evening.
Do you want me to put another log on the fire?
My gracious, I wonder who that could be.
Gee whiz, I hope whoever that is, they don't disturb your folks.
I guess I better see who's there. Hello, Suki. Is Henry here?
Mary, is that you?
Yes, Henry, and I've only got a second. You get your things on right away and come along with us.
Why?
For the sleigh ride.
But, Mary, I'm not going.
But you've got to, Henry.
But isn't it clear I don't want to?
No, Henry, there's no use in trying to make out your feelings are that hurt. Get on your things and come along, and Suki, too. For a sleigh ride? Yes. Joe and Butch and his girl are all out in front in the sleigh.
But, Mary, we're not interested in going.
Joe and Butch wanted you to go all the time. Now, please get your things on.
No.
All right, Henry, I'll tell Mother. Where's the phone?
You don't have to tell her. Suki, where's the phone?
It's right here in the hall.
Gee, was anybody think... Imagine.
Number, please.
Elm 303.
Elm 303.
Henry, I'm simply disgusted. If you were a little offended, that's one thing, but you certainly don't have to keep on sulking.
I'm sulking?
Henry?
Yes, Mr. Matthews?
Remember what you told me? If you happen to be talking too loud, I should let you know?
Well, excuse me, Mr. Matthews.
Hello?
Hello, is this you, Father?
It is?
Well, Father, could you please tell Mary to leave me alone?
What's the trouble?
I don't see why, if I don't want to go, I have to.
Henry, aren't you and Mary old enough to settle this between yourselves?
Henry, let me speak to him.
Wait a minute, Mary.
Henry, will you please let me speak to my own father?
Well, Mary, it isn't necessary to push me off the chair, is it?
I'm sorry. Father! Father!
Who is this?
It's Mary, and Henry is simply being stubborn.
I am not.
Mary, this is something I don't know anything about. If Henry doesn't want to spend his money on a sleigh ride, I don't think you should make him.
But, Father, it isn't a case of paying.
Sam, let me have the phone.
Now, wait a minute, Alice.
Mary.
Is this you, Mother?
Yes, dear, and I don't think it's very nice of you to go all the way over there just to talk Henry into not going.
Is that, Mother? Let me talk to her.
Stop it!
Hey, Mary, do you want us to freeze out here?
Joe, you just have to wait. Mother? Mother? Mother!
What did she say, Mary?
Henry, Mary, hurry up.
Well, Joe, now you've made me lose my mother.
Henry,
Yes, Mr. Matthews?
we can still hear you up here.
Number, please.
Operator, I was talking with Elm 303.
Quiet, Mary.
Elm 303. I'm sorry, but Elm 303 does not answer.
But, Operator, it must answer. I was just talking with them.
Sarah Sue, is there a door open downstairs?
Yes, Father. I think it's the front door.
Joe, would you mind closing the door you left open?
Sure.
Operator, are you ringing my mother?
I'm trying to get you a party.
Oh, gee whiz, if this isn't embarrassing.
Hey, Joe, what's going on in here? They won't come, Butch.
We don't want to come.
Sarah Sue, is anyone down there besides you and Henry?
Well, I'll tell you, Father.
It's just a couple of friends, Mr. Matthews, that happened to drop in.
Please keep that front door closed.
Yes, Mr. Matthews. Mary, won't you hang up and go?
No, Henry, I can't go without Mother's permission.
But don't you realize what you're doing to me?
Who's that?
I haven't any idea.
Say, is Henry Aldrich here?
Now listen, Homer, what do you want?
Henry Aldrich, did you ask Homer?
I did not.
You did too, Henry. Even told me to bring my girl.
Sarah Sue, your mother doesn't mind you having one or two guests, but you didn't tell us you were going to have a party here.
But, Father, I'm not. Mr. Matthews, if Henry and Suki will only go out and get on our sleigh, we'll all leave.
All right, why don't you go?
Because Suki doesn't want to.
Why not? It's a great night and it'll do her good.
Father, please don't send me out into the cold.
Who's that at the door?
It's probably my girl, frozen to death. Come on in, Lolly.
This isn't Lolly.
Father, how did you get over here?
I drove your mother over. What's going on here?
Henry, dear, I've never been so mortified.
Operator, never mind. My mother's here.
Sam, are you warm enough?
Yes, Alice. Are you?
I was never so warm in my life. Aren't the stars lovely?
Get up there.
How about you folks in back? Are you comfortable?
Yes, we're fine. Mrs. Matthews was just saying we'd forgotten how pleasant it is to ride in a sleigh.
Yes?
Get up there. Look. I wonder how the children are.
Get up there.
Are you warm enough, Joe?
Move over a little closer.
Is that better? I wonder how the others are.
Get up there. You know, Gracie, as a matter of fact, I'm... Gracie? Gracie, are you asleep?
Get up there. Are you warm enough, Suki?
Yes, I'm quite warm, Henry.
You know, Suki, as long as your father made us get out of the house anyhow, this was a swell idea of yours.
Oh, yes. I much prefer a closed carriage to an open sleigh.
Would you like that lap robe that's on the back seat?
Yes, I think I would.
Okay. Well, gee whiz.
What's the trouble?
Seems to be fastened.
Now listen, Henry, let go of my overcoat.
Homer, how did you and Lolly get in here?
From January 29th, 1942, that's the Aldrich Family on the golden age of radio theater. Now we continue with Herbert Marshall as The Man Called X. This time, Ken Thurston visits Dublin, Ireland.
Herbert Marshall as the Man Called X. Wherever there is mystery, intrigue, romance, in all the strange and dangerous places of the world, there you will find the Man Called X. Dublin, Ireland, a city born of invasion, bred on rebellion, matured in violence. But the world changes and Ireland with it. And today, Dublin Airport is a regular stopover for the transatlantic planes from England. Terrace halls have crumbled, the Normans are forgotten, and the rebels gone to their destinies. But one thing still remains: violence.
I hardly see the necessity of going any farther away from the main waiting room, Monsieur Boucher. You know, I'm not supposed to be separated from the guards who are traveling with me.
Well, I can understand that, considering what you're carrying, and that's why I want to speak to you alone.
But isn't this far enough? We're out of sight from everyone.
Yes, I know. Sealed metal case handcuffed to your wrist. Highly secret papers,
The British government really didn't see fit to confide in me. Now, you were going to tell me about...
Yes, about the plot to waylay and rob you. Well, it's simply a matter of this. Go! The plot was mine, my stupid little messenger. And as for the clever little trick of handcuffing the container to your wrist, well, thank you very much.
Well, now, I certainly can't think why he might come down here, but we've surely looked every other place for him, and I think... Huh? They're down there on the floor. Danny, don't let anybody in the corridor. And get a doctor. Hurry!
I've just talked with the British Security Office by transatlantic phone, Chief.
Yeah?
It's been almost 48 hours, and they don't have a single lead yet.
Okay, Ken, I know what you're driving at. You want to get into the case yourself, right?
Chief, is there any other case more important at the moment?
Yeah, no. A complete set of progress reports from the British Atomic Energy Commission in the hands of somebody.
And so far, nothing's been done to get them back, right?
Well, apparently not. At least not with any success.
And that passenger, Boucher, if that's his name, he's still missing, right, Chief?
Well, he seems to have disappeared.
Dublin's not an easy city to hide out in unless you've made plans ahead of time. Don't you agree?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact. But wait a minute, Ken. I started out asking the question.
Chief, I'm going to Dublin.
Well, in that case, you better use the reservation I made for you on this afternoon's plane.
You... Well, I'll be...
Ken, those reports are being sent to Oak Ridge. Some of the secret material in them would... Well, get them back, that's all.
Not quite all. I want Boucher along with the reports. Takes someone pretty cold-blooded to steal a handcuffed dispatch case by cutting off the hand. Seat 14 should be about... Pagan!
Huh?
What are you doing on this plane?
Mr. X?
You're going to Dublin, too?
Too? You mean you are? Oh, no. Why do you say like that?
Pagan, when you're happy to see me, it means you're not broke. And when you're not broke, you're usually mixed up in something crooked.
Mr. Thurston, honest, I swear by the father of my
now,
father...
since you're going to Dublin, it might be the same thing I'm interested in.
I knew it the second I saw you. I knew you were going to louse up the whole act.
Act? What act, Pagan?
Act? That is what I mean is... Act? What act?
I beg your pardon if... Pagan, you two...
Zora, oh.
So I'm going to have competition, huh?
Competition? Yeah, well, I'll see you, Zora, around somewhere.
Pagan, aren't you going to introduce me?
Well, you know how it is. I mean,
I'm Ken Thurston, Miss...
Dane. Zora Dane. How do you do?
You?
Well, all flying to Dublin. And are you also going to the Blue Unicorn Inn, Mr. Thurston?
Well,
Oh, no, Zora, no. He always stays at the Shelburne. I mean, I guess he does. He's only a casualty acquaintance, you understand?
Of course I'm going to the Blue Unicorn. After all, where else?
Hey, maybe you'd like to change your mind and go to the Shelburne after all, huh? I'll be only too happy to carry your bag.
Oh, thanks, Pagan. I imagine the Blue Unicorn is all right.
But that's not the point, Mr. X. What I mean is...
Look, maybe if you explained your problem. Whatever it was you were scared to talk about on the plane with Zora around.
Oh, what's the use? I'm a gone goose anyway you look.
Here against the building. It's too dark to go after them. All right, Pagon, let's have it straight. Now, fast. What about this blue unicorn? What's the setup?
Well, I only heard about this deal from Uncle Ahmed, and he only heard accidentally. A rumor, you understand?
Yeah, I know. An underworld grapevine. Go on.
Well, the way he heard it, some stolen papers were going to be sold at this highest bidder here at this blue unicorn, and, well, I was only going to investigate it and then tell you.
You were going to make a crooked buck if you could figure some angle. What about this Zora Dane? Is that a real name?
I don't know.
Ever hear of a man named Boucher?
Mr. Thurston, I've told you everything I know now. So why can't we act like strangers, huh? Not even safe to be around you.
Pagon, what makes you think that shot was meant for me?
Well, there's nobody else here but just you and me?
Sure. Huh? You're a potential competitor, aren't you? Stranger?
Stranger nothing, Mr. X. From now on, I'm going to stick to you closer than a couple of wet blankets.
Welcome to the Blue Unicorn, Mr. Thurston, Mr. Zellschmidt.
Hello.
My name is Jensen. Now, just put your names down in the book here, and I'll have the boys show you up to your rooms.
Good.
Amazing the way the guests have been finding my little place. Just opened a few days ago, and there are 4 here already. And now you 2. The Blue Unicorn has been closed for 2 years, you know. Belongs to a fellow here in Dublin named Kerrigan. I just leased it from him last week. They told me I'd go broke with it, but I figure a good cook can always bring business to an inn.
It might be a good idea to try some of your cooking right now, Mr. Jensen. We came straight from the plane. We haven't eaten.
Well, it's a little past the dinner hour, Mr. Thurston.
Oh, but that shouldn't be any problem for a good cook.
And it isn't. As a matter of fact, I served one of my specialties tonight, and there's some left over.
Irish stew.
No, it's a fricassee. And, gentlemen, until you've tasted Jensen's chicken fricassee, you haven't lived.
All right, Mr. Jensen, let's start living.
There you are, gentlemen. 2 pints of stout.
Look at that head.
It's brewed right here in Dublin at the south side of town.
Yeah, I know. Well, excellent menu, Mr. Jensen.
Thank you. Maybe you'll decide to stay a month or 2.
Well, my plans are a little indefinite so far.
Exactly what the other guests said.
Did they?
I think they're all in the public room, by the way. If you'd care to meet them, just go on in and introduce yourselves.
Fine, thanks. Coming, Pagon?
Oh, you bet I'm coming, Mr. Thurston. With characters flipping bullets at me, I'm sticking closer to you than your own mother.
And here we go. Good evening.
Well, more competition. I wondered what happened to you, gentlemen.
Nice of you to be concerned, Miss Dane.
Well, I was hoping for the best, but here you are.
Disarmingly frank, isn't that the way they put it?
I suppose. Let me introduce a couple of more rivals. Mr. Thurston and Mr. Zellschmidt, this is Ivan Gonov. He is the dark, sullen type. The sleepy-looking one draped over the chair is Bertie Battersea.
A pleasure, old boy.
He's the hypocritical type. What kind are you, Mr. Thurston?
Well, I'm apparently the kind who interrupts other people's dart games. Go right ahead. We'll watch.
All right. Oh, there is one more, by the way. A man named Khan. He went to bed early.
Well, Yvonne, old boy, it's your throw, you know.
It is a game for children.
Oh, it is the way you play it. Give him a 0, Bertie.
Pleasure.
Would you like to get into the game, Mr. Thurston?
You mean the dart game?
Oh, call it what you like. But put your name on the blackboard there. All scores are public.
Yeah, I see here. Ivan, 50,000. Bertie, 65,000. Zora, 75. And Khan, 100. Mr. Khan seems to be winning so far.
Oh, the score keeps changing. Ivan is now waiting for a cablegram.
Is this in points, pounds, or dollars?
Your American dollar has become standard everywhere, hasn't it?
I guess so. Well, maybe a challenge is in order.
A challenge? Oh, Thurston will double anybody's highest score. That is quite a challenge.
Yes, indeed. You really ought to toss a dart or two, old boy. Back it up, you know.
All right. Fine.
Here you are.
Thanks. Now, let's see.
Ah.
Well, Bertie.
2 bullseyes.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Smug Americans always know everything.
I didn't learn that in America, Ivan. It was in Peru, where they use poison on the darts.
Miss Dane, gentlemen, something tragic has just
Oh?
happened. The boy found Mr. Kahn in his room, dead.
What?
It's apparently a heart attack.
A heart attack, huh?
It's too late to inform the authorities until morning, but I did think you ought to know. And if you'll excuse me now.
Well, 1 down and 5 to go. That leaves you with high bid, Miss Dane.
I suppose you mean high score, Mr. Thurston. But aren't you forgetting your offer to double anybody else?
Yes, actually, you're a high man, old boy. Care to toss another dart?
No, I think I'll quit while I'm ahead. At least for tonight.
Is it not a little dangerous to be ahead, Thurston?
Mr. Kahn, you mean? Oh, I'm pretty hard to poison.
What?
Poison?
It's an idea, isn't it? In Peru, they use it on the darts. Here, they use it on the players. Well, I'm in room 21, 2nd floor, 3rd door from the stairway. Good night, all.
From March 31st, 1951, you're listening to Herbert Marshall as The Man Called X. Dublin Ireland is the scene of the action in this episode of The Man Called X.
A British courier is brutally assaulted in the Dublin air terminal and robbed of highly secret documents. A fellow passenger named Boucher disappears at the same time, and Ken Thurston arrives at Dublin's Blue Unicorn Inn, posing as a possible buyer of the documents in competition with 4 international criminals. A half hour ago, one of the 4 was found dead in his room, and now Ken enters his own room.
Who is it? Oh, Mr. Thurston.
Pagan, what are you doing here?
What do you think? Where you been all this time?
Looking at a dead man?
That fellow Khan? Well, did you find out what killed him?
Sure. Heart failure.
Oh, well, then.
Brought on by a dose of poison.
Mr. X, I'm leaving right this minute.
But down that dark alley out there? Oh, you're a brave man, Pagan. And if anything happens to you...
Never mind. I'm staying right here in this room.
Who is Boucher? That's the important question.
Hey, maybe it's that Ivan character.
Maybe it's any one of them, including Jensen.
Oh, no, Mr. Thurston. He's too good a cook to be a crook.
That specialty dish? No, I managed to look at the kitchen. Jensen's chicken fricassee comes in a can.
Oh, but then... Well, that means he's the one.
No, it just means he's lying, but he is a possibility. They all are. And they all know the authorities will move in on Khan's death tomorrow, so the heat's on.
Oh, then I'm staying right here, Mr. Thurston. You're not going to catch me off down the hall somewhere in a room all alone.
This is the hottest spot in the hotel, Pagan. But what are you worrying about? I'm the one who was offered the highest bid. So the whole gang will be out rid of... Good night, Pagan. Hold it, Miss Dane, right where you are.
You're not in bed.
No, it's my night for insomnia. Yours, too?
I slipped in here to make a deal with you, Mr. Thurston.
Huh?
Look, we have the 2 top bids. Why do we not pull them and then split the stuff between us?
Why don't you just outbid me and take the whole thing?
Because I don't have enough money. Ivan will beat us both out if we let him. His government is backing him. They will go to any length.
Who is Boucher, Miss Dane?
How do I know? Maybe you are.
Maybe, or you.
Do I look like a man?
You could be a partner to one. Who poisoned Khan?
Ask Ivan. He used the same trick once in Casablanca.
And your trick seems to be a knife in the sleeve. Give it to me.
Stop it. Stop. You're hurting my arm.
Out to eliminate competition, huh?
I always carry it for self-defense.
Well, I'm afraid you'll have to defend yourself without it for a while. Good night, Miss Dane.
No deal, Mr. Thurston.
No deal.
If you change your mind, you know where to find me.
Yes, sure. Come on in, Bertie.
Why do I ever get mixed up with Mr. X? If I get out of this, I swear by the... Maybe I won't get out of it. Maybe I'll be murdered right here in my bed like a dog in the dark with rain coming down. Nobody even to care for... Oh, no. Oh, no. That's it. Yeah. Just as good as a dead dog. Please don't kill me.
Feel his gun against your throat.
Yes, sir. I feel it good.
Well, keep feeling it. Answer me. I want to know who Thurston is.
Well, he's just Mr. Thurston. That's all, sir.
You don't feel it good enough. Who is he? Who is he? What's he doing here? Come on, talk.
All right. I'll tell you, he's... No, I can't do it.
Talk.
Oh, well, he's the man called X. Oh, forgive me, Mr. Thurston.
That's it. Well, that explains a lot.
It does?
Selschmidt, you've never seen me before, have you?
No, sir. I mean, how do I know? It's too dark to tell.
See that you don't tell. You understand?
Sure. Ouch. I mean, sir, yes, I understand.
All right.
Sir.
All right. I go on back to sleep.
Good morning, Mr. Thurston.
Miss Dane, Ivan.
Good morning.
Let's see now. Who's missing? Bertie and Jensen. And Khan, of course, is dead.
And Pagan.
We'll be down in a minute. Meanwhile, suppose we bring the game out into the open.
Go on.
All of us are up to the same thing, and one of us is going to get it. So let's talk to Boucher and settle the deal.
Fine. Only who is Boucher?
Wait, I will not permit any deal until I hear from my...
Mr. Thurston!
What is it, Pagan?
The Jensen guy. I went to his room like you said, and he's not there. He didn't sleep in his bed.
Well, he wouldn't run out without trying to close the deal unless he... Maybe he's in the kitchen. Come on.
Well, it seems we have all been tricked, Mr. Thurston. Jensen, Boucher, whoever he is, has got away.
Doesn't seem to make sense. And yet...
Maybe he was the one last night, Mr. Thurston, eh? You know, that made me tell about...
No. He's too tall. That man was short. More like Ivan here.
What?
And anyway, even if he did know, I think he'd make some attempt to close the deal.
Perhaps it was closed. Bertie is gone too, you know.
Wait a second. What's that noise?
It's coming from that closet door, Mr. Thurston.
Yeah, I know. Keys in the lock. Well.
Who is it?
Well. Let's get this gag off. Find out. There.
Where is he? Where is he? Just show me where he is, and so help me, I'll kill him with my bare hands.
Kill who?
The criminal idiot who calls himself Jensen. Sir, do you realize he's kept me bound and gagged for 2 days, a prisoner in my own pantry?
Huh?
Said he wanted to lease the place, overpowered me, tied me up. So help me if I ever get
Wait a
my
second.
hand.
Jensen's run out on all of us. Who are you?
Kerrigan is the name, sir. I'm the owner of the place. Just help me out of these ropes, I'll tell you all about it. Well, gentlemen, Miss Dane, nasty experience, but I feel a whole lot better now.
I wish we could say the same, Mr. Kerrigan.
So we double-crossed you on some kind of business deal, eh? And he's crooked enough, all right. I should have known it the minute I laid eyes on him.
I suppose you'd like us to leave as soon as possible, Mr. Kerrigan, unless you plan to operate the inn yourself.
No, not me, Mr. Thurston. I've lost enough money on it. Closed it down for good 2 years ago.
By the way, Mr. Kerrigan, that painting on the wall by the dartboard, an old family heirloom?
Not exactly. It's been there a long time, though. What do you ask?
I rather like it. About $100 worth, if it is money you need.
Oh? It's a nice frame, Miss Dane. 200, maybe?
But, all right. At least I tried. Here.
Gentlemen, I call you as witnesses that I made no claims about the painting.
What do you mean?
I know what you thought, but you're wrong. It is not an original Utrillo.
I see. Well, taken again. I guess I had better get out of the game.
Wait. Notice the heavy layer of dust on the frames of the other paintings in the room. It's interesting that this one is so clean. So the deal was closed, Miss Dane, Mr. Carrigan, or rather Mr. Boucher. No, don't move.
You're talking like a fool.
You found out who I am from Pagon last night, so you had your partner Jensen run out to throw me off. Then you closed the deal with Miss Dane. Delivery was just made. The papers are hidden somewhere in the back of that painting. Hold it, Ivan. Stay where you are.
You're making a big mistake, Thurston. My name is Carrigan.
Is it? Look. If you've been locked up for 2 days, how did your shoes get wet from last night's rain, Boucher?
You know, that's really a very good question, old...
Oh, Bertie, come on in.
Watch him, Mr. Thurston. He's got a gun.
Yeah, I know.
But aren't you going to do something? Shoot him or something?
And have the British Secret Service lose one of their best men?
Secret Service.
Thanks. We picked up that Jensen individual, Mr. Thurston, about 3 streets away.
Good.
My chaps are searching Ivan's room at the moment. Matter of poison, you know.
You'll need that cablegram.
Well, Mr. Thurston, it looks as though you have the high score. Pick up the marbles.
Thanks. There's a lot more involved, though, than that. It's the same old story and the same old game. Anything for a crooked buck. It's being played all over the world, too. With no umpire, no rules. By people who aren't worth their powder to... Well, we've just got to keep on winning, that's all. We've got to keep on winning.
From March 31st, 1951, Herbert Marshall is starred in The Man Called X. In just a moment, a question about George W. Trendle's failure. A listener from Windsor, Ontario, Canada, wants to know about George W. Trendle's failure. Trendle, the Detroit genius who masterminded the Lone Ranger, the Green Hornet, and Challenge of the Yukon, also created an American agent story about a newspaper foreign correspondent who was also a spy for the U.S. government. The series, which ran on ABC in 1950 and 51, provoked complaints that it was hurting the case of a real newspaperman who was on trial in Czechoslovakia on espionage charges. The show, which had failed to get off the ground, was dropped after 1 season. One of the lesser creations of the great George W. Trendle from Detroit. This is Victor Ives speaking, thanking you for being with us and inviting you to join us again next time we turn back the clock to relive the golden moments of radio's yesteryear and bring you the greatest radio shows of all time on the golden age of radio theater.
For a copy of today's program, call 1-800-326-0296 and refer to show number 9. That number again is 1-800-326-0296. And remember to refer to show number 9.